organization. For strategic reasons, we must know what kind of way my company is uh, running. Okay, the three major running or theories of organization. The first one is the classical theory. In the classical theory, it's very easy. There's a four components. We have a system of differentiation. It is like most of the companies. They have a supply and demand. I think I have it here.
Okay.
We have a supply and demand. As demand increases, supply will increase. Just go back. So there is people that is working. That is how the normal day-to-day people. I have money in my pocket. I want to buy something, or I want something delivered. So I phone your company and say, okay, company, come deliver for me something. Your company say, okay, my company wait for people to apply with, and they will use my company, and it's a supply and demand, supply and demand, supply and demand.
Okay.
It's an old way that is used, but it is not the most effective way that we're looking at how a company is running. That's a classical theory, the classical theory of company running, supply and demand. The next one is called the new classical theory. In the new classical theory, we bring in behavioral economics, people's behavior towards something. It becomes now more. If we're looking at the organization, we don't only look at supply and demand, but we're looking at how people will behave. And in this case, we have the product and distribution, we have the consumer. On the one hand, we have money flowing to them. On the other hand, the consumers will flow, the money will flow back to them. Goods and services go to the people, and resources, inputs will flow back. So it's more than only supply and demand. We involve now things like people buy because of certain reasons, not only because they need something.
Okay.
And that becomes now. So we're looking at the functionality of a company. Not only there's a supply and a demand. We're looking at the scale. We're looking at the finance. We're looking at the mathematics of it. We're looking at how line staff can integrate within a new classic. If it's not only supply demand, how some line staff can influence the way people buy or the way people sell. Also, the span of control. In the classical theory, we had the CEO who was running the whole show. He was sitting on the top there and ran the whole show. Where now, when it comes to a new classical design, we said, I am empowering my people below me, and they have certain things that they can run without me being involved.
Okay.
That's your new classical theory. And the last theory is a systems theory. In the systems theory, it becomes now every system are connected in one way or the other way. We have individuals that is together in an organization. We have individuals, not only me as a worker within the organization, but I have family members outside the organization also connected with me. If I'm fighting with my wife, then I will bring it back into my workplace.
Okay.
If I had, so all the things will go straight. So now it's my wife is leaving me, will have an effect of how I'm doing my job. So that plays a role within my organization. Inside my organization, I don't only have my own organization, I have formal organizations like NGOs play a role in what I supply and what people demand. Small groups within that have a role. My status and the roles of people play a role of how my company is running. And my physical setting does not need to be only in one place.
Okay.
And it looks something like this. The basic management theory of science and theory within it. Then I have the corporate and social systems that can have an effect into my company. Behavioral groups like sociology and psychology groups that is outside people, that is smaller cultural groups. My international behavior within my company, when outside the psychology, that how we deal with cross-border. Resource management experience, my experience of my management, how much experience do they have, and the history and experience of the practitioners that is doing the job outside. the management science, what kind of management style do we use, and the mathematics, how do we deal with that? The information system and the processes and the communication center, how does my systems work? How could I use something barcoding? Is my barcoding only restricted to my company, or is barcoding connected even up to my supplier, up to my buyer? So everybody is connected via the information system. And my decision theory, the rational choice. Why do I decide what I want to have? Is it because only the thing in my pocket or not? And then my technical, how my technical systems that have how I socially connected to them. So that is a difference now between just a supply and some demand. They go from supply and demand to their behavior, but people's behavior, how consumer, when I buy something from consumer, he has money, eventually he's buying back to me, so behavior will play a role. If I teach you, let me use an example. I teach you who's from this logistics company. I'm happy because I'm teaching you, so you're paying me money. Oh, no, I'm paying you money. You're paying me money because I'm teaching you. That's the supply and demand. But now, I need somebody to do a courier service for me. Who am I going to call? I'm calling you because we already have. So now my behavior is changed not only by supply and demand, but also by you learn from me. I supported me, so I support you.
I see. All right, understand.
That's how the new classic works. But now, further than that, is now the systems theory. All the different systems all over the place is now integrated within one organization. And I think that is where we are. But some people still go supply and demand. For some industries, where I think it can be very connected, interconnected in that case. Okay?
Okay.
Right. What I'm going to do, I'm going to break, let me see, maybe not. Let me see if I can quickly look. I'm still going to do the choice theory. And yes, let's see if I can do that in the portfolio theory. I'm just going to do those two, and then we're going to take a break. Okay, so I'll talk quickly with the choice theory and then. So with all these theories, coming now back to supply and demand, to our supply and demand theory, so coming back to my classical theory, my new classical and my systems theory, people still have a choice. So then we call it the choice theory. This choice theory, there's a gap between what we have and what we want. Nobody outside ever forces me to make any decision. I do that. Outside events never make us to do anything. We do what we decide we want to have. I have a choice. What drives our behavior are internally developed notions that most important and satisfying to us. What I do, what I want is because of who I am, not because of what other people force me to do. All we do is we behave. We do what we want to do in our way. And it is actually something that has been put into us since we are very, very, very small. That almost all behaviors are chosen. That's a choice theory. That everything that we do is a choice. It's a decision, and from those decisions, we make a choice. It's scary, but that's actually what we do most of the time. That are driven by our genes to satisfy the 5 basic needs. And that is the 5 basic needs. I'm going to come into this now. People theory continue. People are driven by, they say 6, but I say 5 because I'm making love and belonging 1. We're coming back to 5 actually. All of our choices of behaviors are based on the urgency for number 1, survival. We make our choices on how we want to survive. Coming to, there is a master slave theory that was many years ago that I also used this. We say, we want to survive. We want to survive by having a house or a roof over us. We want to have clothes on our bodies that we don't die from overheat, exhaustion, or cold. We want to eat something because we don't want to die, or we want to drink water because we don't want to die. Survival. The second one that is just as important is power. We want to have power. Do you remember when you were in school? Nobody wanted to be the weak one because the weak one is getting picked on. We all wanted to prove, boy or girl, that I can do. I want to be number one. So from there, from kindergarten, we learn that we need power, not power only in the meaning of physical power, but power of being able to make a decision. So that gives us why we take a choice sometimes. The next one is love and belonging. We want to be loved and we want to belong, either to a loved one, like and on a personal basis, to a husband or to a wife, and from there to the kids, and then to a community and to a society. But we also want to have this freedom.
True.
And we want to have fun. Freedom is very interesting because freedom for me, I see when people do not have that freedom, when they get that freedom, they burst out of their natural behavior and they do abnormal things. And I'm thinking in this case, especially about the Chinese. In China, the Chinese cannot do everything they want to do. There's many rules and restrictions, and Big Brother is checking over their shoulder exactly what they're doing. No, they go and they become a tourist to say to Malaysia, and they get to your monasteries or your temples or to your whatever your sites. They go out of their way to be crazy and breaking into things and be behaving very badly.
Okay.
Just because they never learn how to use this choice theory of freedom in a behaved manner. When they stay there for a 1 year, they started to turn back and become behaved normally. But that is how the choice theory is influencing how people think. And we all do things because we want to have fun. We don't study because we want to study. We don't study sometimes we study for survival, that we can have money coming in. We study for power, that we know a little bit more than somebody else. We study to be loved, to say, wow, she passed a degree in LIBT. We study because we have the choice to have freedom to study in our own time.
Yes.
And it's fun to study after the study. When you study, it's not fun, but it's after to say, hey, people talk about the choice theory. Yes, I know about the choice theory. It's fun to see the look on some people's faces when you know more than they do. And that is how the choice theory is working.